Welcome to Yoga Within Your Home. I'm Darria, and today's class will be sort of an all-around gentle stretching class, but especially good if you've been gardening or doing some spring cleaning. It'll sort of target all of those sore spots in your body. So today we will begin lying down. So if you want to make your way onto your back, you can find a comfortable position there. Today you might start just with your knees bent, maybe taking your feet about mat width apart, letting your knees come together. Just opening up your arms, letting your arms rest on the floor a little bit away from the body, palms facing up, fingers relaxed. Wiggle around and find that place where your shoulders can be level. And then just as your body settles in, take a nice deep inhalation and a long letting go exhalation. Maybe doing that one more time in your own time. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Just allowing your body to settle into the support of the ground beneath you. Just taking a moment to notice how you're feeling today, physically, mentally, energetically. And just allowing your observations to help guide your practice. Always remembering to treat yourself with kindness. Begin to notice the feeling of the breath moving in the body. Feeling that sense of expansion as you inhale. And that sense of settling as you exhale. Just taking 2 more full breaths here. And after your next exhalation, you might keep your eyes closed or blink them open. You can just take your knees a little further apart and rock them a little bit side to side. And then bring your knees back to the center. Change your feet so that your feet, your knees, and your hips are the same distance apart. Arms can stay resting on the floor, or you might rest your hands on your pelvis, your lower belly. And here, just kind of take notice of that natural curve in your low back. It's not usually flat against the floor. It's not super arched. It's just whatever your natural curve is today. And we're going to work a little bit with the pelvic tilt. So you can think of, with your next exhalation, really think of drawing your belly in with that exhale and pressing your low back into the floor so you flatten that curve in the low back. And then press down through your feet. It's almost like you're pulling your heels towards your seat, and you'll arch your low back. So you'll roll towards the tip of your tailbone. And start to go back and forth between those 2 extremes, or those 2 movements. Arching the back as you roll to the tip of the tailbone, and then flattening the low back. And then just rocking back and forth so the pelvis is not lifting up off the floor. You're just finding a little bit of movement with the pelvis. Back and forth. Maybe one more time each way, arching. One more time, flattening. And then allow your back just to relax back to that neutral position, not super arched, not super flat, just whatever normal is for you or neutral is for you. We'll change that movement slightly. And by slightly, I mean, we'll totally change the movement. Let your hands come down beside you with the palms facing down. Same alignment for the legs, feet, knees, hips in the same line. Moving with your breath. As you inhale, press down through your feet, and this time do pick your hips up off the floor. It doesn't matter how high. And as you exhale, lower them back down. And just find that rhythm of your breath. Inhaling, lifting the hips up. Exhaling, lowering. And it's early, it's the beginning of our practice, so we're just warming up. We're not going as high as we can. You might even find it's a day where you want to stay with that pelvic tilt. That's just fine too. Just start to link that movement with your breath if you can. Don't worry if your breath gets mixed up, just keep breathing. Try to watch that your knees aren't flaring out to the side or knocking in together. They're still going straight ahead. And if that's going well, you might add the arms to the movement. And so with your next inhalation, as you pick your hips up, the arms reach up overhead. And as you exhale, hips come down, arms come down. And you just again flow with your breath, inhaling, lifting, exhaling, lowering. If you find this is too much for the arms could always open out to the side and come back down. Or you could even just inhale, palms facing up, exhale, palms down. Whatever works for your shoulders today, just find the angle of your arms that gives you some movement in the shoulders, but is still comfortable. And if all that's going well and you want to add another element to it, with your next exhalation, instead of bringing the arms down, you'll pick your head and shoulders up off the floor and reach your arms forward. And then head and shoulders come down, arms reach up, pelvis lifts. You can do a couple more of those. Adding that little crunch at the end just for a little added strength. And the next time your arms come down, just pause the movement. Let your arms come back down beside you. Just taking your arms out to the side. You could rock your knees a little bit side to side. And then bring your knees back to center. Bring your knees into your chest and rock your whole body side to side. So you're massaging the back a little bit. And then pause at the center. Keep your right knee tucked in. Bring your left foot to the floor and just pause for a breath. You might stay here, or you might cross that right ankle over your left knee. Begin by flexing your right foot and just use the muscles of your right leg to press that thigh away from your torso. And this is a good place to stay. Or you might pick your left foot up off the floor. As you bring your left knee into the chest, that right leg continues to press away. So kind of that opposing dynamic. And you could stay here, or today might be a day where you can interlace your hands behind your leg and maybe you straighten your left leg up to the ceiling. Left foot is flexed, right foot is flexed. Your left leg may or may not be straight. Your right leg stays active. It's still pressing away from you. Some people even like to tuck that right elbow against the right thigh to help press it away. And then lower that left leg back down to the ground. Take your arms out to a T position. Pick your right leg up and cross it really high. So your right knee is now stacked on top of your left knee, kind of like you're sitting cross-legged in a chair. You may need to wiggle around, but get that sense here that your shoulders are level. We're going to keep the shoulders level. We're going to keep that left foot on the floor where it is. So we're not going to move that foot across the mat. All we're going to do here is, keeping the shoulders level, roll to the inside edge of that left foot as your legs drop over to the right. They probably will not touch the floor.
The outside edge of that left foot will lift up off the floor, but that left shoulder will stay on the floor. So it's not a very big twist. Pick your legs back up to center. Now we're on a flat foot. Same idea. Foot stays where it is, but we roll to the outside edge of that left foot as the legs drop over to the left. Here on this side, you might find your legs touch the floor or your foot touches the floor, maybe not, but do try to keep your shoulders level. And then pick your legs back up to center. Pause here. This might be a good place to stay. Or some of you will pick your left foot up off the floor, bring your knees in towards your chest, and you might place your hands on that top knee, or you might see if you can reach around and interlace your hands behind the back of both legs. So maybe you just start with your feet relaxed and you see how this feels. It's a big movement for your hips. It can be a really big stretch. Next option would be to flex your feet. Next option will be to bring your shins parallel to the floor. And this might totally be enough, or you might go back to having your feet on the floor. If you've lifted so your shins are parallel to the floor, maybe you can start to draw your feet towards your face. And some of you might even reach forward and see if you can catch your ankles or the outsides of your feet, keeping your feet flexed and drawing your feet towards your face, coming into kind of that whale tail shape. Just taking another breath here. And then releasing, uncrossing the legs, just rocking the knees a little bit side to side. Come back to center, both knees into the chest, rock the whole body side to side. Pause at the center, left knee stays in, right foot goes to the floor. You tuck that left leg in just for a moment. And then cross your left ankle over your right knee, flex your left foot, use the muscles of your leg to press that left thigh away from your body. Just taking a moment to pause here. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you pick your right foot up off the floor. Right knee draws in towards your body, left leg presses away. And maybe today is a day where you see if you can interlace your hands behind that right thigh, maybe beginning to straighten your right leg. May or may not be straight, you're only going where you need to go. Both feet can be flexed though, so you're a little bit active in the legs. Your right heel is pressing up towards the ceiling. Your left thigh is pressing away from your body. Just taking another breath here. Lower your right leg or your right foot back down to the floor. Pick your left leg up, cross it high so that your right knee is stacked on top of your left knee. And your arms can open out to that T position again. Shoulders are level here. Your right foot stays on the floor, but you roll to the inside edge of that right foot as your legs drop towards the left. Legs probably won't touch the floor if you're keeping your shoulders down, especially that right shoulder wants to lift up. Just a slightly different twist. Sometimes we do the twist the other way. It's not wrong. All the movements are good movements. Bring yourself back to center. Roll to the outside edge of your right foot. You might find on this side you can keep that left shoulder down, maybe a foot touch, maybe that left foot touches the floor, maybe your legs go a little lower, but do think about keeping your shoulders down. Just letting your legs be heavy. And then pick yourself back up to center. Pause. Again, this could be a really good place to stay, or maybe you pick your right foot up off the floor and draw your knees into your chest. And just start with your feet relaxed. Notice how that feels. Next option will be to flex your feet. Notice how that changes things. Maybe you bring your shins parallel to the floor. And most of us are really different from side to side, especially in a shape like this. So maybe you start to bring your feet towards your face. Maybe you find you can hold your feet on this side, or your ankles or your shins. Feet are flexed. Shins are as parallel to the floor as you can get them. Feet are drawing towards your face. And you're trying to sort of be fairly relaxed in the upper body. So the neck is free. Your shoulders aren't scrunching up towards your ears. You don't have big wrinkles in your forehead because you're holding with your face. Just try to soften where you can. And then slowly release those legs back down. Uncross. Take your feet wide apart. Hold your elbows in front of you and find a little bit of twisting motion in the body. Let your elbows drop to the right as your legs drop to the left. Come back up and change sides. So you can do this fast, you can do it slow, you could link it with your breath. Your head could turn in the same direction as your arms, or maybe in the opposite direction as your arms. Or maybe you just look up towards the ceiling. Just rocking a little bit from side to side. And then next time your legs drop to the left, pause for a moment. Come back up to center, over to the other side, and pause for a moment. Come back up to center. Release the arms. Bring your foot soles together and drop your knees wide. And just take a moment to rest in Supta Baddha Konasana, that reclined bound angle. Just again, feeling that movement of the breath in your body. Feeling that sense of expansion as you inhale. And that sense of settling as you exhale. Take one more breath here. And then pick your legs back up. If you need to just roll over onto one side and pause there before coming up to tabletop, you can. Or you can hold the backs of your legs and do a few spinal rocks. So just really rounding your spine and rolling up and down. Maybe two more of those. Tucking your chin to your chest. And then coming all the way up and making your way into a tabletop position. So starting with your fingers spread wide, your hands underneath your shoulders, knees a little bit apart. You might have the tops of your feet on the floor. Just start with a little bit of movement for the hips. So maybe you start making circles with the hips. Maybe you feel like doing a little bit more of a figure eight, or maybe a barrel roll with your rib cage. Just a little bit of exploration. We all get kind of sore in different places when we've been doing different activities, so just allow your body to guide you in the movements. And then when you come back to center, pause. Remember your options for being in tabletop. You can have your fingers spread wide. Some of you will be better on fists. Some of you may need to come down to the forearms. Maybe you just take a break whenever you need to. From here, we'll move through just a few cat movements. So As you inhale, lift the tailbone, drop the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades, and look up slightly. And as you exhale, scoop the tailbone under, draw the belly up, spread the shoulder blades wide, and relax your head. And do 2 more of those. Just finding that lovely movement for the spine. Going really as fast or as slow as you'd like. And then after that next rounding of the spine, come back to tabletop and pause. Tuck your right toes under and slide your right leg back behind you. So from here, you're starting with your shoulders over your wrists. You may need to shift your weight back so that you press back through your heel and you start to lengthen the back of that right leg. So a little bit of a calf stretch here. It may or may not feel like a stretch, but you are definitely lengthening the back of that leg. And then shift your weight forward so your shoulders are over your wrists again. Pick your right leg up, cross it over to the left. Bring your toes down to the floor and see if you can get all 5 toes to tuck under. Turn your head to look over your left shoulder at your foot behind you, and just notice if your heel wants to roll out to the side or if you can have it pointing straight up to the ceiling. A little bit of a side stretch here. Bring your head back to center. Bring your leg back to center. Bring your knee back down to the floor and pause here. Tuck your left toes under. Slide that left leg back. Your weight shifts back as you press back through your left heel. Just allowing for that lengthening of the back of your left leg. Again, not chasing sensation. You may or may not be feeling something. Just finding a little length. Shift your weight forward. Pick that leg up. Cross it over to the left. Bring all 5 toes down to the ground. And then turn to look over your right shoulder at your foot behind you. And again, notice if you roll to the outside edge of your foot, or if that heel is pressing up towards the ceiling or pointing up towards the ceiling. And then bring yourself forward, bring that leg back to center. Bring the knee down to the ground and walk yourself up. And shake out your hands a little bit. Make tight fists and circle a few times one way and a few times the other way. And then pause here. Bring your right leg forward and land kind of in a 90-90 lunge. So we're not looking for anything too extreme here. We just want sort of a 90-degree angle at the hip and at the knee. And lift the torso tall. So here, your pelvis is fairly level. You want to think of scooping your tailbone under, kind of that movement we did when we did the pelvic tilt at the beginning of class. So we're scooping the tailbone under, and then think of pressing your whole pelvis forward. So you're finding some length in the front of that left hip flexor, or the front of that left hip has a little bit of length to it. Tailbone scoops under, pelvis presses forward. It's not an actual big movement. It's really tiny movements, but we just want to lengthen out that left hip. And then come back. From here, this will be a little bit of balance, so do take care. See if you can bring your right heel right in front of your left knee. So now you're really sort of on a balance beam. Your hands are on the floor. Your left toes tuck under. Before you move, just try to let go of sort of any attachment you have to having straight legs. You may or may not get to a straight leg. It
really is more important that you listen to how your body is feeling here. Hands are on the floor, hands stay on the floor. You'll press down through your feet as you begin to straighten your legs. Just moving slowly and going to the place where you feel enough of a stretch without overdoing it. Your head can just relax, or if you have any pressure in your head, keep your head a little bit lifted. Otherwise, just take one more breath here. And then lower that left knee back to the ground. Walk yourself back up, walk that right foot out. Bring your right leg back and take your left foot forward. So again, we're looking for a 90-90 lunge-ish. Your pelvis is facing forward, your tailbone tucks under, and then you press your pelvis forward, just so you feel little lengthening in the front of that right hip this time. Keep tucking the tailbone under, keep pressing the pelvis forward. Again, it's a tiny movement. And again, we're not looking to chase any sensation, just know you may or may not be having some. It's all good. And then come back, lean forward, take your left heel to your right knee and tuck your right toes under. Hands stay on the floor. We're not worrying about if our leg actually is straight or not, but we press down through the feet as we begin to straighten both legs. Remember to keep your head a little bit lifted if that feels better, or you can just let your head relax. Your right heel might come down to the floor, it might not. Your knees may straighten, they may not. Take one more breath here. Relax your shoulders if you can. Lower that right knee back down. In any way that works for you, come back to a high kneel and then walk yourself up to standing. Just take a moment in Tadasana. If you're not dizzy, you can close your eyes for a moment and notice. Does the weight feel even on the bottoms of the feet? Remember, if you're dizzy at all, keep your eyes open. Just look at a spot that's not moving. And from here, if your shoulders are sore, you could always have your hands on your hips. If your shoulders are okay, reach your right arm up, left arm alongside the body, lean into your side bend. Pick yourself back up, release that arm down. Change sides, left arm reaches up, leaning over to the right. Pick yourself up, release that arm down. Pause here. Hold your elbows in front of you. See if you can get your elbows right into your palms. Shoulders relax down. Press the elbows forward. Feel your shoulder blades move apart. Just take one more breath here. And then change your hands. Other hand is on top, shoulders drop down, elbows press forward. And then release your arms, shake it out a little bit. And then a little bit of stretching for the wrists and the hands. Our hands and our wrists do a lot of work when we're gardening. So take your left hand and press it forward. So you're kind of making a stop sign with your palm. Try to keep your elbow straight if you can. Take your right hand, take the index finger on your left hand and pull it back towards your body as much as you can. And notice if your elbow wants to bend, maybe. Try to keep it straight. See if you can curl your other fingers in towards your palm and touch them in the center, but try to keep your elbows straight if you can. Try to keep your shoulders
fairly relaxed. And then open up that stop sign, take your middle finger, pull it back towards you, and then see if you can curl your other fingers into your palm without bending that elbow. And it totally helps to make a face because this is really hard. And then open wide, ring finger pulls back, other fingers curl in, or not really, because it gets a little tricky. And then open wide, pinky pulls back, other fingers curl in. Try to keep that elbow straight. And then shake that hand out. Let that go. Might wiggle out your shoulders a little bit. Make a stop sign with your right hand. Pull your index finger back. Curl the other fingers in. Elbows stay straight. Open wide, middle finger pulls back, other fingers, maybe curl in. This one's really hard for me. And then open wide, ring finger pulls back, other fingers curl in. Open wide, pinky pulls back, other fingers curl in. Try to keep your elbows straight. And then open wide and shake it out a little bit. Give your arms a little shake. Now to get into your thumbs, take your thumbs and just place them on the back of your rib cage. Spread your other fingers wide and really press your thumbs into your rib cage so you find a little bit of stretch for the thumbs. It's a little harder to get into that area or to find a way to stretch that area. So fingers spread wide, thumbs really pressing into the rib cage. It's like you're pushing your rib cage forward. It's just a way to stretch out those thumbs. And then shake it out a little bit. Again, back to Tadasana. So standing tall. Take your right foot and just take a step back behind you. So as we step back behind, the pelvis stays level. So we're not twisting back, and it's not a lunge, it's just a step back. So as long as your leg allows. Start with your toes tucked and know that that might be enough for you. Or you might be able to untuck your toes and place the top of your foot on the floor, the top of your toes on the floor. And see if you can get the top of all 5 toes down on the floor. So you'll feel a little bit of stretching through the top of that foot. Or you might not feel it, but you're definitely stretching the top of that foot. Pelvis keeps pressing forward. We'll lift tall. It's like you're reaching your upper chest towards the ceiling. Open your arms out to the side. If there's no neck issues, maybe you look up just slightly, kind of to where the wall and the ceiling meet. Or if you're outside, maybe just up towards the sky a little bit. Bring your head back to center. Bring your hands back to your hips. Roll to the pinky toe side of your foot. It's just stretching a different part of the foot. Roll back to center. Roll to the big toe side of your foot. Might feel a little funkier. Roll that foot back to center and then step it forward. Walk it out. Take your left foot back, just a step back. Start with your toes tucked and see how that feels. Pelvis is level. If you can, place the top of the foot on the floor and see if you can get all 5 toes down or feel the tops of all 5 toes on the ground. Pelvis is level. We start to lengthen through the front body, lifting the chest, opening the arms, looking up slightly. Really being mindful of your neck. So if we drop our necks back, it's really hard to breathe, and that's not the best thing. So we just want a lot of length in the front body. Bring your head forward. Bring your hands back to your hips. Roll to the pinky toe side of your foot. Come back to center. Roll to the big toe side of your foot. Again, might feel a little gross, but it's all good. Come back to center. Pick that foot up. Step it down beside the other one. Walk it out a little bit.
And then from here, step your feet just a little bit wider apart. Bend your knees and place your elbows on your thighs. Just looking down towards the floor, your head is an extension of your spine. Really think of pressing your tailbone, your sitting bones back behind you. So you're lengthening through your low back as much as you can. Just taking another full breath here. And then walk yourself back up to standing. Roll your shoulders a few times. Change the direction. And then if you can, try not to use your hands as you come back down to seated. Just finding comfortable seat. We won't be here too long. Lifting the spine up tall, chins parallel to the floor. Just turn to look over one shoulder. And come back through center. Look over the other shoulder. Your shoulders stay squared to the front. And come back to center. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Lift your head back up. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Come back up. Lengthen the spine. Loosely drop your chin towards your chest. You might roll your chin along your collarbones from shoulder to shoulder. Bring your head back to center. Pick your head back up. You might just take a moment to kind of give yourself a little neck rub. Getting into the tops of those shoulders, getting into the sides of the neck, even up to the base of the head a little bit behind the ears and down the sides of the neck. It can be nice too to sort of massage those upper chest muscles around your collarbones. It can be really tense there. And then from here, just make your way back down onto your back. As you come down onto your back, draw your knees into your chest and again, rock from side to side. And then as you're ready, you can place your body in a comfortable position for Shavasana, our last few moments of relaxation. So you might have knees bent or legs straight. Just placing your body in a way that it can find some ease. As your body begins to settle, take a nice deep inhalation and a long releasing exhalation. Allow your body to settle into the support of the ground beneath you. Just letting go of the effort of your practice. Feeling the back of your body get heavy. Feel your breath coming and going. Feel that sense of expansion as you inhale. And that sense of settling as you exhale. Relaxing your jaw. Softening your forehead and the tiny muscles around your eyes. Just taking the next few moments to rest. Time for peace. Time to simply be.
If you need to stay longer, just ignore me. Rest. Otherwise, bring some gentle movement back to your body, just moving your fingers and your toes. You might take a moment, roll to one side and pause there. And as you're ready, you can make your way up to a seated position. Finding a comfortable seat. Bring your hands out to the side. And gather up all of that positive energy you've created. Draw it into your heart. Pause for a moment of gratitude. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be happy. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be well. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.